I got a Daisy feeling. I got a Daisy feeling. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? I'm JABYBHAI, joined by ACHARAJI.
What's up?
We're watching the trailer to ADIPURUSH. This is the Hindi trailer starring Prabhas, Saif and Kriti, Sanon, directed by Raut. Thanks so much for joining us. If you guys haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications, and pretty please vote this up. Let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. And here we go.
ये कहानी है मेरे प्रभु श्री राम की, उनकी जो मानव से भगवान बन गए, जिनका जीवन था मर्यादा का उत्सव और नाम था राघव, जिनके धर्म ने तोड़ दिया अधर्म का अहंकार, गाथा उस रघुनंदन की, युग युगांतर से जीवित और जागृत ये कहानी है रामायण की।
भिक्षाम देहि।
Don't do it, Sita. Gosh, that's really pretty.
आप अयोध्या के युवराज हैं। एक संकेत करेंगे तो सारी सेना आपके साथ लड़ेगी।
ये मर्यादा के विरुद्ध है।
तो क्या मर्यादा आपको भाभी माँ के प्राणों से भी अधिक प्रिय है?
जानकी में मेरे प्राण बसते हैं और मर्यादा मुझे अपने प्राणों से भी अधिक प्रिय है।
जंगली बुढ़िया के पैरों के पास बैठना तुम्हें शोभा नहीं देता।
हम जन्म से नहीं, कर्म से छोटे या बड़े होते हैं।
अपनी शक्ति पहचानो बजरंग, जो तुम कर सकते हो और कोई नहीं कर सकता।
जय श्री राम! जय श्री राम! जय श्री राम! जय श्री राम! जय श्री राम!
राघव ने मुझे पाने के लिए शिव धनुष तोड़ा था। अब उन्हें रावण का घमंड तोड़ना होगा।
आज मेरे लिए मत लड़ना, उस दिन के लिए लड़ना जब इतिहास में तुम्हारा नाम पढ़कर सम्मान से सर झुक जाएंगे। लड़ोगे और गाड़ दो अहंकार की छाती में विजय का भगवा ध्वज।
जो भी पाने लायक है तू पा चुका है, फिर भी तू राक्षसी है। लक्ष्मी को पाले, नारायण हो जाएगा।
It's a long trailer.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Ramayana, so
Right.
it's a long story. But I spent the whole trailer waiting for that moment because I seem to recollect from the teaser, which everybody was clowning on, Saif Ali Khan, who's playing Ravan, he has all of those heads, right? And they just looked funny. And I'm really glad that they took the feedback, the very strong feedback that they received from the teaser, and were like, okay, let's fix this.
Yeah.
And I think they managed to do that.
There was that waterfall thing with the stone towards the end of the trailer that was reminiscent of Bahubali. I don't know the lore behind that. Do you want to explain that to me?
I don't know exactly either. From what I gather, it's a sacred stone, right? And you worship it by pouring water on it.
Okay, gotcha. I think that this is definitely an improvement over the teaser that we got in terms of the visual effects. If I'm being completely and totally transparent, there are two things going on with me. It's like, number one, I appreciate just the scope of it and the the audacity to do such a film of epic proportions, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very, very ambitious, and you gotta admire that. That is a positive for me. The visual effects for me is still like, okay, cool. It's like, it's much better. That's is what I'm gonna say. I am not forgetting that I'm watching CGI is the only thing. Now, maybe that's deliberate because you don't want to scare people. With RRR, for instance, they felt the need, I think, at the beginning to let you know that no animals were harmed or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm watching it, I'm like, I can clearly see those aren't real animals, but they still felt the need to tell me, and maybe that message is not directed at me, by making sure that it's like it still maintains some degree of artifice, like noticeable artifice.
Yes.
Then you're not concerned that you're actually harming animals, I guess, or anything like that. I don't know if that's a factor here at all. I could be reaching, but for someone like myself who's completely removed from this most of his life, I grew up Catholic. This is actually quite fascinating for me as a means of getting access to a story through modern storytelling. A classic tale or set of stories through modern storytelling.
What I remember of the Ramayana is like rudimentary at best, but I think it's so cool to see it kind of brought to life like this. And I don't really mind that it kind of looks like, it looks very stylized, basically.
Yeah, that part I don't mind at all.
Yeah,
I think that's actually cool.
Yeah, I don't mind that because it kind of gives it this fantasy feel. It's got this heightened, like, we're in a different time, it's a different world, we're dealing with gods and, like, demons and all of that.
I grew up on Hong Kong cinema, and you and I watched Among Gods, or whatever that Korean movie was called.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all about the hyper-stylized stuff with fantasy epics like this.
Yeah, so that I really like. It kind of looks like a painting come to life, which is really cool. And so I can get on board with that. And even with the CGI being not like perfect, I can get on board with, because I'm like, I understand that they're going for big, especially for Indian cinema, It's on a par with like Bahubali and stuff, and you can't help but draw the parallels, right? You've got Prabhas in it. A lot of the look and stuff like that, I feel
that's interesting.
Kind of reminiscent.
That's interesting, because I wasn't thinking Bahubali at all while watching it. The only thing that I thought of with regards to Bahubali is the fact that it's Prabhas. I'm watching it going, he is the perfect guy, at least from his looks.
Yes.
Like, he is the perfect guy for this kind of role, with what little I understand about the Ramayana and all that stuff. Like, he just has that, like, very hero dude from an epic movie look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he plays that hero archetype really well. And I feel like his character is the archetypal hero. Plus, he's got the whole bow and arrow situation. It's like, you don't get more archetypal than that.
Yeah, I think the reason why I wasn't comparing to Bahubali in my mind is because for me, this is a completely different story. I mean, you're dealing with like a whole army of animals and stuff like that. This is very much fantasy. I understand Bahubali is also a fantasy epic, but like this is on another level entirely in terms of what it's dealing with. You're not dealing with armies of animals in Bahubali,
Sure. And speaking of animals, I thought that the representation. That
is a very interesting new word.
The representation.
Your dad would be proud.
He would be proud. English is an evolving language, so you're allowed to make up your own words.
Totally overrated.
The representation of Hanuman, I thought, was actually pretty cool. I liked how, at least facially, he was more human. The tail, I was a little bit like, oh, I mean, it definitely looks like a cartoon tale. I like the ideas, you know what I mean? The concept of what they're trying to achieve here and like...
As someone who's a Dragon Ball fan, I'm like, that's awesome.
I think it looks cool. I like that he feels more human, because like you're able to like see the expressions and stuff on the actor's face, which I think is awesome.
That's important.
Yeah.
It gives you something to connect with.
Yeah.
As a person, as a human, as a fellow human.
As a human, I like it, like, and just like the fantasy of it, like just the scale of it all.
Yeah.
Like he's riding on Hanuman, who's just being a complete and utter badass, as he should be, as he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think my only reluctance with something like this is it's almost like if you were to do a movie about Jesus, let's say, I can't criticize the dialogue. I don't know if I can even criticize the acting, because it's supposed to be this other thing that's not like our level. It's not street level stuff, almost like Shakespeare in a way. I don't want to offend anyone in my thoughts about it, you know what I mean? And I'm saying in the future, after I've watched the film, it's kind of a weird thing that feels like it's full of landmines in a way in terms of trying to discuss this, because I don't know the story all that well. Hopefully people will understand that when I talk about it, and they're not going to get mad at me the way they got mad at the Japanese guys who made the curry commercial.
Oh, the curry police?
Yeah, the curry police.
Yeah.
God forbid. So, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed this reaction discussion. Do let us know your feelings in the comments below. Do you feel like they improved? Do you feel like it's the same? Are you going to go watch this? Oh, that's the last thing I wanted to say. I completely forgot. So this is an IMAX 3D. Now, this is going to be a weird comparison, but just go with me. So a long time ago, Nintendo came out with this thing called the 3DS. And
I remember that.
The graphics were not improved whatsoever. However, because it was in 3D, for whatever reason, it made the graphics look better. Don't know why. With that in mind, I'm thinking, even though the CGI does not look 100%, right, in my humble opinion from my Western sensibilities, watching it in 3D, if it's released here in 3D, would actually be my preference, because I feel like it'll enhance the visual effects if they did the 3D right. So
that'll be interesting to see.
Anyways, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I'm JABYBHAI. This is
Achara Cook.
Peace out.